Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And this morning we have, you already know, another amazing guest. I mean, where these folks come from, I couldn't tell you, but they're amazing and they keep popping up. Something must be working. Alora here this morning is a 23-year-old mom who has built a 50,000 person following on social media after recently losing her job. And I'm excited to hear her story. Alora, welcome to the show. How are you doing this morning?
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And let us know where you're calling in from here before we kick off the call.
I'm over here in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Fayetteville, Arkansas. I
hmm
love it. I love it. So, what led you to Legendary? Tell us the story in your words, and tell us what you were looking for.
Yeah, well, I've tried quite a few things in the past, and then started having kids, and the kind of work from home thing just kind of left my mind for a while. And I was actually, when I found Legendary, I wasn't really looking for anything like this. I was still working as a property manager, and my youngest daughter was just having a lot of health issues. And one of my friends knew that I wanted to be able to stay home with them, but was obviously worried about the money situation.
Yeah.
And so I believe it was whenever I was sitting in the hospital with her one time when my friend sent me just like a little side hustle video of somebody's. And so that was the first time I went and looked at this girl's account and set up like a little side hustle video that she had showed me. Didn't do much with it. And then probably a couple weeks after that, once I was back at work, out of the hospital and stuff, I actually went back to her account, and that's when I found the link in her bio. And as soon as I started looking through, the legendary stuff and watched the video, that was it for me. I just jumped right into it and pretty much dove, head first and just started learning everything I could.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear about your daughter. I hope she's doing better now, and that's scary, and
Mm.
that really can make you think about a lot of things in life. Um, so so what was I mean, what did you think? I mean, did you think that this could possibly be the solution that you were looking for?
Honestly, yeah, because
Yeah.
of all the stuff that I've tried in the past, network marketing, I've also
Mm.
tried hourly roles from home,
Okay.
B2B sales. I've created my own website in the past, like crazy stuff that never worked. When I came across this and I started watching the video and started learning about it, I was like, okay, actually, I think this is what I've been missing this whole time.
Mm.
Because I knew that there was something out there. I'm like, there has to be something out there that actually works for me.
Yeah.
And so when I found this, I did think, okay, this actually, I think this is it.
So describe for those listening what the difference is in your eyes in this, in learning these skills that we're teaching, these core four business models that we're sharing with every all of our clients and students. Describe the difference between this and other things you've tried in the past, MLMs or other gigs or jobs or business opportunities.
Yeah, well, first of all, this is something that you're just trying to work from home in general, but you get an hourly job or something like that, and maybe it's part-time or maybe it's in the evenings, it kind of works around your schedule. That's still something that you're not working for yourself, you're not building something, you're still working for someone else. So, and then on top of that, the MLMs and network marketing and stuff like that. Now, I haven't done those in quite a few years, but when I was doing them, it just felt very pressured. It felt, send 25 friend requests a day, send 25 DMs a day, ask your friends and family to buy from you. It didn't feel fun. It just felt, kind of like a have to thing.
Mm.
So I think those are like the major differences for me.
So, do you have more do you have a bigger why right now? Is your motivation different? What is different on the inside of you from
Absolutely. Yeah, because I think even now, if I was to try to do network marketing, if I would have stayed consistent with it, I could have made it work back then. I still feel
Mm,
like that today. If I wanted to do that, I could make it work.
hmm.
Um, but I that's a good point. I didn't have near as big of a why when I was doing that stuff. When I started in Melons, I didn't even have kids. So, you
Yeah.
know, just with children in general, that's a huge why. And then on top of that, my youngest, my 2-year-old, having all the health issues that she has, I just really needed, for one, I want to be a stay-at-home mom anyways. I've wanted that forever.
Yeah.
For two, I've always felt like I was going to do something really big in life. Like I've always felt like that. There's just something different for me. And I feel like that's what this is. And then I need to be able to work wherever I'm at. If I have to go to the hospital with her, I need to be able to work in the hospital, I need to be able to not miss out on money just because I'm not in an office. So,
Yeah. And I love that because I mean, I don't get on this show and say, "Oh, nobody succeeds at network marketing. Everything
right.
sucks and only what we do is good." It's like that would be pretty silly. We probably wouldn't have too many people that listen to the show because it would, like there's too much valuable stuff. Something's valuable and truthful honestly when people are paying attention, right? And
Hmm.
listening in 2023 because there's too many different things out there. There's too many different sources of information. People don't really need to listen to BS. Um, and what you said is absolutely true. Like, if you want to succeed at something, you absolutely can. I think that I've always said that there's three things that create change: the right information from the right person in the right environment. But the other part of that is you got to want it. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? I mean, and it's I guess the best example would be if other people are succeeding at the thing that you're doing, it's not the thing that you're doing, it's you.
Yep.
Now that's a tough pill to swallow, right? It's like, oh shit, am I never going to succeed? Am I So how are you now approaching this business from the standpoint of this is a process and I need to fall in love with the process instead of only being obsessed about the result? And how is
Hmm.
that different now than maybe other things you've tried in the past?
Well, I think honestly, most of the things that I've tried in the past, and even when I started this, it's kind of like, you know, oh, I'm going to try this and I just hope I get lucky and in 2 months I start making a bunch of money.
Mhm.
And that's definitely not really the mindset to have, not for me anyways. So even when I got into this, I was like, I knew that there was going to be a process and I knew that it may take me longer than what I want it to. But I still, in the back of my head, was like, oh, 2 months from now, 2 months from now, another month from now, it's going to come. But I think just really remembering, even when you're getting into this, that it is an entire process and it's something that you're building. It's just like when I'm talking to somebody else about it, and like I've heard you say many times, you wouldn't have a brick and mortar business and go in for 2 months and then quit because not as many people are coming in as you'd like. So I think that's really important to just remember that it is a process. And as I've continued to go, I will say, like in the past with the network marketing and stuff that I've done, about the 6 month time frame is when I would give up on that stuff. Um, Even if I was making money with it, I would still just like, I don't want to do it anymore. But with this, I've just, the longer that I've stuck with it, it just gets more and more exciting, and you do fall in love with the process more and more. You just got to continue to give yourself that time, and being consistent is just so important. And
Yeah,
whether you want to do it or not, whether you feel like doing it, you wake up that morning and you don't want to do anything at all, well, you might need to suck it up for an hour and just do something really quick and move on. But
absolutely. Just like anything, right? It's like you kind of got to just suck it up, right? It's like there's going to be crappy things that you don't want to do, that you don't like doing, and they're going to suck at first. But then, you can also fall in love with those things. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that a lot of people have that they in their lives that they didn't like at first, but now if you were to take it away, they'd be like, oh, like think about a part of your routine or a part of your life that you didn't like at first and you love now. I mean, maybe it was like your spouse that you hated at first and now you're in love with them, right? I mean, that could be an example. um
Right.
your kids even. I mean, I don't like my kids sometimes, but I always love them, but I don't like them sometimes. But same thing with parts of your job or parts of your life or cars that you have or washing the dishes. I mean, I can remember for most of my life washing the dishes was like, hell. And now that I'm older, I got kids in the house and stuff like that. I take pride in cleaning up and
Mm-hmm.
and doing things with my kids and stuff like that. It's enjoyable. You know what I mean? Those vacuuming the floor, cleaning the house. I hated it, but I don't clean the whole house. We do actually have cleaners, and that's a blessing. But doesn't mean we don't get out a vacuum. And my son gets out his little vacuum that's not really attached to anything, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you fall
You
in
may
love.
dread going into it and doing it, but once it's done, you're like, oh, it's done. It looks great.
Well, and that's the whole idea of delayed gratification in life, but especially in business, right? It's like we are so used to instant gratification with our phones. We get instant gratification from them. We can pick that phone up and get hits of dopamine whenever we want, right? And from this is really actually important for everybody to understand. It's like if you're getting all your hits of dopamine on the front end by buying stuff and scrolling and getting excited about new opportunities, right? Same way that you got bored, right? And after 6 months of doing the things in the past, and you needed a new big hit of dopamine, of adrenaline, of all that kind of stuff. And that's a big example, but we have little examples every day where we would just rather scroll and get that instant dopamine hit instead of that delayed gratification of kind of sitting through the hard work and then feeling accomplished at the end of the day. It's not even so much about you have to wait all the way until you make money. It's also about, hey, I'm having a hard time integrating Aweber with my funnel builder, whatever it is, right? Some of the things at the beginning. And it's like, well, you may not make money that day, right? But once you get that set up, if you lean into that and you see it through, you will have a sense of accomplishment and pride that you could not get from a shitty little dopamine hit from scrolling social media or whatever, which is a lot of times what we're doing when we're on the computer, right? It's like we've got 15 windows open and it's like, this sucks. I'm going to go look at this, right? For
Mm-hmm.
some instant gratification. What comes up for you as I talk about the instant versus delayed gratification? And do you see yourself embracing that more?
Yeah, absolutely. What comes up for me initially is, you were talking about Aweber and stuff like that. Um, when I first started, I think it was maybe it was the second month that I was into it. No, I think it was the third. First started using ClickFunnels, and at the time I just didn't have like an extra $100 a month to keep paying for that. And I'd heard really good things about system, but I had already had my Aweber, my ClickFunnels, and everything integrated together. And so I wanted to switch, needed and wanted to switch to system.io. And I just put that off for so long because it was just extremely overwhelming to even think about doing that, especially when I was still new to everything. I'm not good with technology. And so, but eventually I came around to it and started looking at how to switch and doing all that. And spent probably 2 days really switching everything over, getting everything fixed up and ready to go. And it was kind of hell during that time to do all that because it was just stressful and my business wasn't running while I was switching certain things over. So, but once that was done, it was like, oh my gosh, it was like a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. And
So,
and I
and
can
honest,
go
you go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say, other than that, I don't even really scroll through my phone anymore for just like you said, instant gratification. Like I don't really do that anymore. And when I am scrolling through my phone, it's number one for to find new ideas.
Right.
Or number two, it's to like, for example, I have a brand new Facebook account, got rid of my old one. I'll scroll through there and just look at stuff and like stuff and comment, just to kind of let the algorithm know I'm a real person and like I'm interacting with other people. Those are really the main two reasons why I even scroll on the internet anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. And it's one of the main reasons why I'm on social media, is looking at what other people are doing as well, getting ideas, just kind of getting a lay of the land, learning, reading, stuff like that. Try not to get sucked in too far, especially not committed to like, webinars where I know things are going to get pitched and it's going to be a whole new rabbit hole that I'm going to have to go on in order to commit to that. You have to think when you're scrolling around on the internet, you have to think a couple of steps ahead and think, okay, this sounds interesting, but it's not going to be that simple. So I need to ask myself, am I willing to commit the time to actually do that thing? But for the most part, yes, social media is a great tool once you start knowing what to look for to be able to get other ideas. Um, you know, I was listening to you describe your process of switching over your funnel builder and stuff. And it took me back to the early days of my career where I was playing with all the software myself. And this is a very natural thing. I just want everybody to know that. It's a very natural thing to mess around with the different softwares and get yourself familiar with them and change and switch and try new things and all this kind of stuff. It's sort of like a carpenter or a painter testing different paintbrushes, or a carpenter testing different hammers. You know what I mean? Like, it is a very natural thing to want to look at tools and try different tools and maybe change for a cheaper alternative, et cetera, et cetera. The thing that stuck out to me and that I just want to offer to everybody is, even if you are doing something behind the scenes with your software or your email list or something, you can always still be emailing your list. You can always still be posting marketing videos. That aspect of being in communication with your audience on a daily basis should never stop. You should be in communication with your audience, and I'm speaking to everybody, not just you, Laura. This is something that how would
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
How would you know if you're new? But it's like we should never, that consistency of communicating with our audience is so important to do that on a daily basis, right? I mean, if you have to take a day off over the weekend to where that's fine. But I would even set drafts every single day, even if you're messing around with stuff on the back end, if you're building funnels, if you're changing software or whatever, being in contact and delivering some form of value or edutainment to your audience, to your followers every single day, no matter what, is something I'd highly encourage. So what was it like for you were you already on social media, or was getting and going on video something that was new for you and you had to overcome some internal limiting beliefs or uncomfortability? Talk to us a little bit about that experience of going from learning to beginning to integrate and, of course, getting on video.
Yeah, so definitely I was not comfortable with going on video. I'd never done that before. Really the only thing I used was Facebook. I never really even scrolled much through TikTok. So I really didn't know how to use that at all. Instagram I had used quite a bit in the past, but I had stopped using that. So Facebook was really the only thing I did, and I posted pictures, and that was it. So there was a lot of things I had to get over and feelings I had to work through to get past that. And I still do, I'm still working on that.
Mm,
But it gets a lot easier over time.
yeah. Yeah, I found that too. I mean, when I first started, and I'm sure you had the same experience. There's that liking gap, which I always talk about. It's a real thing. Write it down, Google it later. It's where we think people will like us less than they actually do. There's a gap between how much we think they like us and how much they actually like us. People like us more than we think they're going to like us. and it's a phenomenon. And I think we all, when we first see our face, hear our voice on video, it's like, ew, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like that, you know? And we have to take that with a grain of salt, because there is going to be a natural gap between how much we like to see ourselves and to hear ourselves, and how much others like it. You got to think about it in reverse. How much do you like to hear other people versus yourself? Same thing. So that's why people are on social media, because they're looking to be edutained by other people, not themselves, right? And so, how have you been able to think about what's in it for them? And what's that process been like, instead of projecting your preferences and all of your likes onto your audience? But such as, you guys are not going to let, that would be an example of projecting, like, I'm sure you guys don't like my voice or whatever. The same way that we sort of get on social media with our content and talk about what we think is interesting or what we think is cool, instead of delivering or creating content and thinking about what's in it for them in this piece of content. What are they going to learn? What are they going to take away from this? Are they going to take a chuckle? Are they going to take away some piece of information? How has your mindset shifted in terms of delivering value and thinking about what's in it for them?
Yeah, it's shifted a lot, because I feel like whenever I first, started getting any of the things I've ever done, when you first get into it, it's like, oh, what could come out of this for me,
Yeah.
And so once you get into it, you really you do have to start shifting your mindset, and that may take some time, but you're not gonna, gain an audience and gain trust from people if you're just thinking about yourself. So for me, when I, make my content or I talk to people, I try to just think about like how I have felt before and how they're probably feeling the same way, because first of all, it's so hard to trust anybody online. It's hard. There's so many things that you can do nowadays, so many side hustles. It's just hard to navigate those kind of things. And so I know those feelings. The first time I did a network marketing was in 2016. So from finding Legendary back to 2016, I have just tried different things and looked for different things. And yeah, it's just really hard to navigate into the emotions with it. You just kind of get angry, you're like, what is going on? I cannot find something that's legit. So I just try to think of how I felt and kind of help them through those emotions and try to portray that in my content as well.
And I talked about that yesterday. A phrase came up at the mastermind this weekend, and I thought it was really good. I think one of our speakers got it from Ed Milet, but it's help the person who you used to be. Help the customer who might be the best customer for you to start with in any business selling any product. Okay. And it especially applies to the information business, right? Where you're selling courses, coaching events, or being an affiliate selling those things, would be helping somebody learn something, discover something, get better at something, just gain knowledge that you used to not have, helping them through struggles that you used to yourself have. And that's exactly how I got started, Alora. I was in network marketing. And when I came online for the very first time, it was to sell training to network marketers who were struggling chasing friends and family, basically. And I was like, hey, how would you like to generate some leads online for once? Some strangers, how would you like to be the hunt? That's where I got the hunted versus the hunter thing. It's all the way back from the network marketing days, because I was hunting always, leaving drop cards, sticky notes on gas pumps, talking to people in Walmart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Prospecting friends and family, Aunt Betty and Uncle Joe, and saying, hey, come on, come over for, hors d'oeuvres. And then they get over and you lock the door and roll out the whiteboard and start drawing circles. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So a few of us have been there a few times. But I was helping the person that I used to be. And that works in any niche. And I'm sure you can envision and imagine and have already begun to start to think about all the different ways that information can be sold to people that, starting with just valuable tidbits of content on TikTok or Instagram or whatever at the top of the funnel, but just giving them little pieces of value, giving them little tips, giving them little strategies to overcome the challenges that they're having because you used to have them. And it's such an intimate way to talk to people. It's such a powerful way to talk to people because they listen to you so much more if they know you've been there before. I can remember back to my days of being in drug treatment back in 2004. And I was like, my number one question for every counselor was, so what drugs have you done? I mean,
have you been in my shoes?
Right. And they were like, well, I happen to not have ever done any drugs. I'm like, okay. But if somebody said, hey man, I'm a recovering addict, I got 10 years clean, I'd be like, okay. I'm listening.
Let's talk about this. Yeah.
Talk about it. Tell me, so it's it's a nice North Star to begin to pick a product and a niche and say, hey, where do I see myself starting? May not be where you ultimately end up. Lots of online marketers who are in this space evolve into different niches or have different offers going at the same time. You've chosen to make money online niche. A lot of people do who are coming through our process and our system because they've not ever done any online marketing. So they're just looking back at who they were and saying, well, geez, I was struggling with money. I am struggling with money. I am struggling with freedom. I want to help people who are also in that same spot. So how did you begin to talk about things in the very beginning in those first few videos where everybody says there's nothing to talk about because I don't have thousands and thousands of dollars in screenshots to share? Well, how did you begin to deliver edutainment? How did you deliver? And by the way, I don't endorse or, I'm not saying sharing screenshots or whatever is right or wrong. It's to show proof that you have results can be powerful if done right. We always want to make sure that we remind people that our results are not the average results, right? That they shouldn't expect to make as much as we're making or get the same results. Say I'm in the pet niche. Hey, your dog might not sit like my dog does right now, but I'm just showing you what's possible. So how did you, before you had any results, before you had any credibility, how did you create content and how have you positioned yourself as somebody to listen to even when you had 0 followers?
Yeah, I actually wasn't even really worried about making content just because I wasn't making any money yet. That's not really something that worried me because you don't have to be making money to help educate people on stuff.
Mm,
So that's kind of the way that I looked at it. And I just, like in the training, just watch some of the people who have already been doing it for a while and, do kind of have a bigger following and just got ideas from them. And that's just how I made my content in the beginning. I didn't have any of my own ideas in the beginning. It all overwhelmed me so much at the start that I was just basically watching other people and trying to put my own twist on things. And that's how I did it. But the
yeah,
money part didn't worry me at all. I wasn't, like I said, you don't have to be making money to help educate people on stuff.
yeah. Kurt Hadley said the top earners seem to do the screenshots, but I want you to think about this, Kurt. Sure, they do. And a lot of them are in their first 3 to 9 to 12 months of ever marketing online. So they're doing what they can do. They're doing the best that they can, right? They're excited about their results. They want to share those results. But there's actually not that many affiliates for Legendary Marketer, even though it seems like there is, right? Maybe because your TikTok feed or something is full of people who are promoting make money online products. The bottom line is that there's a ton of different marketers in this niche. There's a ton of different people who have come through our community who are marketing both business marketing courses, business opportunity things, as well as tons of other things from other niches. And everybody may not be so, forthcoming and showing every single, product that they're promoting in some cases because they want to kind of keep sometimes when you find something, you want to keep it to yourself, right? You've done the work, you've discovered it. So remember that there's a lot of different people who are getting a lot of different results in a lot of different ways, and using screenshots is a way to show that what you're talking about works. And the only thing that I encourage people to do when they're sharing screenshots is to screenshots of anything. Screenshots of money that you're making if you're in the make money online niche, screenshots of your dog sitting if you're in the dog training niche. The reason why you're going to share those things is to show that what you're talking about works, right? That it's just social proof, right? And the thing that we just need to learn to do when we're sharing that social proof is to use the proper disclaimers. That's what we have to do, right? Hey, these are my results. These are not the average results, right? That's what regulators want to see. That's what is considered to be more transparent, more honest, to make sure that people, disclaim that, hey, it's not guaranteed that you're going to go and make, $10,000 if you sign up for this course. And a lot of our affiliates who go through our material and choose to become affiliates of ours, it is a separate decision and a separate sign up process. We do try to continue to educate everybody on how the compliant ways to do things. But remember, this is a learning process. I love the point that you said that you weren't really obsessed about, results and all that and sharing that, but you were more focused on educating people. Such a simple way to find content to model after, right? I like that word more than copy, because copying means I'm really trying to do something without putting my own spin on it. Whereas modeling is more, I'm modeling sort of the framework of what they're doing, but I'm going to put my own spin on it. One of the simplest ways to find content that you can model is to go out there and find people in your niche who are promoting similar products or, talking about similar things, and find the content that they're creating that doesn't mention any sort of specific result that they got, which is probably a lot of their content, or at least it's seeded in there, right? That basic education or entertainment value content. And, you might have to be a little bit more selective on the videos that you model, but there's so many different videos out there, most of which are mostly educational based. Have you began to go outside of your niche to grab ideas from other creators in other creators that might be inside of your specific niche, Alora, to model after, to kind of get ideas that are sort of outside of the box?
Yes, I have. There's actually quite a few specific people that I follow just to get that are not in my niche, just to get ideas from them that still, I can put into my niche that I'm in and still make content based
Yep.
off of, modeling after somebody else. So yeah, definitely. You don't have to just model after somebody that's in the same niche as you either. You can get ideas from anybody.
You really can. And I don't have my sunglasses, but I a marketing example many times on the show where it's, once you get this information, you see social media and of course the world differently. All those videos that you didn't quite know why people were doing them, you might have thought they were cool, you might have thought they were valuable, you might have bought some of them. I mean, we all got here somehow. So we were talking about creating content. What is your content? What is your marketing plan or daily method of operation look like? How do you schedule and plan your day? And what are the things that are important for you to get done on a daily basis in order to be consistent?
Yeah, so that's been one of the things that was really like kind of rough for me at the beginning to figure out because I don't, this may be bad to say, but I don't really have a content plan. I have specific times of the day that I am able to do things because I do have two toddlers at home with me. And I guess I kind of do have a content plan because I'll share like a side hustle video or ways to make money from home video. And then I do more of like a, you know, connect with people video or, based on emotions, things like that, that draws them to what I'm, trying to portray.
Right.
But for the most part, I really only work a couple hours a day. I do the most of my stuff. If I get up early in the morning, I'll, do it before my kids wake up, or during nap time is like my main time. And
Yeah.
then, of course, if I have time after they go to bed as well. But as far as, planning content and stuff, I have not got very, very well at doing that yet.
You're just kind of in that phase of creating and sort of almost throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, to see what you're almost in a growth slash testing phase. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think so for sure.
Yeah, and we heard some great content and nuggets from some speakers at the mastermind this weekend. Of course, Caroline Hene was there. We had Phil Kohlberger. We had Becca Duncan. And one of the things that Becca said was that a lot of people are really trying to get into their sales phase before they're done with their growth phase. And what the growth phase really is the growth phase, for example, on TikTok, is like getting to your first 1,000 followers, right? Developing a little bit of a connection and a relationship with your audience. Of course, the 1,000 followers has always been that milestone where you can add a link, right? But we see so many people inside of our community who are so anxious to go and add that link and jump right into that sales phase where they're beginning to give calls to action, where they're beginning to let their audience know that they have something for them, right? And something extra. Hey, go click the link if you want more value, if you want my free gift, if you want this free training, etc. And she made a really good point about staying in your growth phase when you're in that early stage. What does the growth phase mean? It means mainly creating content that asks for nothing in it except a follow, right? Follow if you want more, right? Instead of just constantly giving calls to action up to the bio for people to go through and hopefully buy something. Then as you get up into the place to where you've grown and you've got significant followers, you've got significant buy-in, trust from your audience, then you move into a sales phase. Now, if you're doing a lot of selling, meaning that in damn near every post, what does the sales phase mean? That means where you give pretty strong calls to action for people to enter into your funnel, right? Not because you have something for sale, but because you have more value. Hey, opt into my link if you want to grab my PDF or if you want a free training, etc. But you're giving those calls to action to try to sell something, right? So if you're being too salesy, meaning that every single post is letting people know kind of or pointing them to the direction of something for sale, you seed in growth phase videos. Maybe you might do Becca said that if she, and I've always done this in my campaigns as well, if you really hammer, for example, your list or your social media profiles, you hammer your audience, you hammer your list about something that you're selling. Once you get done with that campaign, you want to sprinkle in some value, right? You want to sprinkle in something that where you're not selling anything, right? Because that draws your audience back in. It's like people will sit there and listen really intently because nothing's for sale. It's just everything's free. Then once you move in to start introducing things for sale, a percentage of those people will buy. Most people will still just be there for the free stuff, right? So what comes up for you as I talk about the growth phase and the sales phase, and then once you move into having enough of an audience selling, but if you sell too hard, kind of dialing it back. And you can really kind of tell that based on the feedback. One of the metrics that Becca said that she uses is just video views, right? I mean, if your videos are getting less views, then you're probably being too pitchy in your videos and you need to dial that back and just focus on growth, focus on delivering value. Does that make sense to you? And what comes up for you around that sort of loose plan?
Yeah, absolutely. It does make sense. And I honestly think it's really important because you don't, just go into something just immediately wanting to sell a whole bunch of things. I think it's really important and honestly, not only important, but really cool to really make those connections with people in the beginning. And just, build your audience at first, and because then when you do get to the sales phase, it's just going to be really exciting. And, people that you've made connections with are going to be talking to you about different stuff. It can be really cool. And then when you have people reach out that, have listened to your advice and are doing what you've, kind of guided them to do, and they're excited about it, and they're like, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate you, or whatever. It just makes what you're doing that much more worth it.
Yeah. And it's also about knowing how to use your tools. The reason why we hammer so much on an email list here and try to really get people to build their list and cultivate trust within the people on that list is because your email list is really a place where you should be getting a lot of sales. You should be following up, sending it I used to send a broadcast email every single day to my list. I mean, it's just how I got good at copywriting. So that tendency to want to go and get copy and paste, or have somebody else do it for us, or even have Chat GPT write our emails for us, is really tempting. And some of us need to do some of those things. But the more that you can write, and the more that you can kind of get used to, seeing what that feels like to both write a value-based email with absolutely nothing to pitch, or maybe just showing them a free video that you just posted, versus writing an email that really gives a strong call to action for them to go and buy something. What both of those emails feel like, both writing them, and then of course, probably what they feel like to receive them, right? Because, it's really important for us as marketers to put ourselves in the shoes of our audience. What sort of feedback? I mean, when I first started writing emails anyways, I would get people sending emails back to me, responding, saying, this is the worst stuff I've ever read in my life. Never email me again. Eventually, I started to get people saying, wow, this is life-changing. And I was like, wait, who, what, where? You talk about somebody else's video or somebody else's email. How has feedback from your audience evolved over the last few months? Have you got really negative stuff? Have you seen it turn more positive? Has that built your confidence?
Yeah, so I've never gotten like super negative stuff. I mean, a few times, yes, it's happened, but I've never gotten like stuff that just makes my blood boil or anything like that. But I would think more towards the beginning, instead of getting bad feedback, I just really wasn't getting any at all, I felt like. And so I think that has,
Let me check if my
changed
video is
quite a bit.
actually posted here. Hold on.
Exactly.
Are they on draft or are they live?
So yeah, I think that has changed quite a bit. I mean, I do get a lot of feedback now, and I hear a lot of positive things. And one of my big videos that blew up, I actually did get that was more recently on my TikTok. I actually did get quite a few nasty comments on there, because it's either you agree with what I said or you don't. But, and honestly, if I'm being completely honest, it was more of a clickbaity type video that I made, and I honestly did not even realize that was not my goal at all. I just was modeling after somebody else. I was trying to make a quick video, and I just put it out there, not even really thinking about the specific details of how I was laying out my video. And so it was not on purpose. Do I regret doing it? No, because it blew up because of that, probably. But I did get some nasty things on there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I also got really good things, and people just saying, thank you for sharing this. Like, I really appreciate it. More of that than anything bad. And so I think not only that kind of stuff, but just all my other content in general is getting a lot more feedback too. And it's usually good stuff.
Yeah. And obviously I'm leading this question, but I want to ask for, if you agree or if you have any additional thoughts on this. I know that it's imperative to focus on the positive feedback and ignore the negative feedback. I mean, you are always, no matter what you do, going to get people that disapprove, that don't like it, that are threatened by it, that don't understand it. And people, I said this the other day on Wake Up Legendary. I said, people, mostly your friends and family, are going to criticize you whether you do nothing or whether you do something. If you're doing nothing, they'll say, well, look at Dave sitting on his ass over there again, or, got right. But if I'm going after my dreams, like, oh, this guy's got big dreams. Who does he think he is?
Exactly. Look at him making all that money over there.
Who does he think he is? Now he thinks he's better than everybody else, right? It's like, do I? I mean, I didn't say that. This is something that you're making up. So it's like imperative that we understand kind of human nature at a simple level, and that people are going to criticize, and people are going to get, internet courage, which in my opinion is even more powerful than the old liquid courage. I mean, people can get pretty damn brave on the old interwebs, but it's imperative to feed off of the positive feedback. It's really imperative to look for the positive feedback and like really make a big deal out of that in your own head versus making a big deal out of the negative feedback. Because again, people are gonna say things that people are just naturally miserable. They're having a bad day, something that you said threatened, that whatever it is. So are you when you get a piece of positive feedback, how do you just internalize that and say, keep on going, like that makes me feel good, that gives me fuel? Are you repurposing those testimonials and using them in your marketing, which is not like, how are you specifically, or have you begun to utilize some of the positive feedback and even play off some of the negative? Like, for example, Phil, he was talking about at the mastermind this weekend that if he has a troll on his lives and they're just, really going crazy in the comments, he kind of feeds off it and says, well, okay, we'll stop the webinar for you. You go ahead and let us know what you have to say. We'll listen to you. We'll listen to what you have to say here, because it seems important that you want to get it out. And a lot of times they'll just jump off the live or whatever. As long as they can be in the crowd and not really have to like show up and face themselves and others, they're cool with making those comments. But the moment that they're called out, so how are you interacting with people, and when they show positive feedback, etc., how are you making the most out of that? Do you try to have DM conversations with people? Do you try to showcase that positive feedback as testimonials in other parts of your content? How are you building off of, not the negative stuff, but is there any unique ways that you're building off of the positive stuff?
Yeah. So I first of all want to say the negative stuff really doesn't bother me at all, because like you said, it's going to come no matter what you do. If you're doing something bad, if you're doing something good, you're going to get negative stuff. So that stuff really does not bother me, and I just tend to ignore it. If it's something really bad, I'll delete it. If not, I'll just leave it there. But for the good stuff, I have yet to showcase anything. I actually just recently started thinking about that. I think it's a great idea. But really, honestly, I just look at it. It does fuel me. It makes me happy to be able to help other people. And also, I look at it as an accomplishment. If somebody says, thank you, this really helped me. Like, if I know that I've been able to help somebody, that may be a small accomplishment. Actually, that's a pretty big accomplishment in my eyes. I feel like we all look at these huge things, like making $10,000 as a huge, that's the accomplishment, but it's the little things that matter too. So for me, I think, when I see something like that, and a lot of time I will reach out to somebody or something like that and just try to connect with them and keep that connection going. But for me, I just look at it as those are accomplishments that I'm making all the time.
Yeah. And I would, I mean, using social proof, we were just talking about screenshots and all this kind of stuff. And one of the most powerful ways that you can showcase what you're doing is to use third-party validation, right? And so if you have somebody who's giving positive feedback, and of course this is for everybody, if you're having somebody who's giving positive feedback, man, that's a testimonial. That's a testimony of what you're doing works and it's helping people. Another thing that I've always done whenever I'm doing, if I have a product that I'm promoting as an affiliate throughout my career, I look to try to find positive results that other customers are getting. No matter if they're customers that are my customers, that I've earned that commission from that affiliate sale or not, I try to gather different third party validation in order to help build my case, right? Because when it's coming out of your own mouth, especially if you're new, lacking confidence, etc., there's so many different ways to do this. Also on social media, specifically TikTok, you can stitch things, meaning that you can have somebody else playing their video and you're kind of reacting to it. Reaction videos have been really popular. There's taking, articles, there's taking other sources, there's taking, I mean, I have bits, and I talked about this a little bit in the mastermind, that, all of us should have 5 or 6 talking points of third party validation. For example, I've always been in the make money online niche, the online marketing niche, and I've always talked about, things like the fact that student loan debt, is one of the unforgivable loans in America, the only type of debt that's non-forgivable, which means you can't claim it in a bankruptcy, right? So there's this kind of idea, this system that we have in America, where before a person's brain is fully developed, which happens usually in your mid 20s, and it happens faster for women. Some of us, our brains are still developing, some of us men. But, we're making huge decisions at 18, 17, 18 years old that are going to impact dramatically our future, not only with what we're going to do, but also the amount of debt that we're starting life off with. So that would be an example. And I can find third party sources that could validate that, articles, different things on the internet. So if you're looking for, any one of you, this is coming up for me right now as we're talking about this, how to utilize positive feedback and also how to come up with content ideas, whether that be for videos or emails, based on just third party validation. And the fact that third party validation is always going to be more powerful than you just coming up with an idea or just coming up with something on your own, like your own opinion, if you will, because that's just your opinion. But people can't argue with a third party source who's presenting facts, right? So that's the same way as a customer testimonial. That's also third party validation. It's somebody else saying that either what you're saying or doing works or helps or is valuable, or they're not even saying it about you. They're just saying it about the concept or whatever it is that you're talking about. Say you were in the self-defense niche and you were talking and teaching about a specific type of self-defense to protect yourself from robbers in a parking lot. You might pull from other you might pull from other instructors, other stories, other examples, things that have happened in the past, all these different kind of things to help validate and tell your story. And so another point that I'm making in sharing this is, not only is there so many powerful ways to use positive feedback, and if you do get positive feedback in any way, shape, or form, you should screenshot that. You should share that. You should share that with your list. You should try to bring more of that. Never be ashamed of showcasing. It almost feels a little narcissistic, right? It's like I'm showing everybody how great people say I am. But that's marketing. You have to let people know. It's sort of like Wake Up Legendary. There's 700 examples here of people who have gotten on unscripted, having an interview like this, just talking about their success. It's endless amounts of social proof for not only us as a company, but also, those who have partnered with us as an affiliate. It's content and things that have been said that validates what you're saying, right? So anyways, a little bit of a long rant on third-party validation. Anything to add to that, Alora?
Yeah, it just makes me think about, I cannot remember her name right now, but she's somebody who go lives goes live a lot. And I remember her saying, I got a little bit of training from her at one point, and I remember her saying that when you start to go live, and this doesn't just have to be with live, it can be with making your content or whatever, but when you start to do those kinds of things, go find three different people. If you want to go watch a bunch of Wake Up Legendary, episodes, do that. Go find three people who have found success and are doing really well, and learn their story, learn about them. And if you don't have your own success to share yet, then use that. Showcase other people's examples, and just share other people's stories until you do have your own story with it.
Yeah.
So that's just what came up for me.
And it's just as powerful of a strategy. To a story is a story is a story, right? It doesn't, I mean, to you it matters. To you it's like, oh, well, I'm telling so, right, to you, but what's in it for them? If you think about what's important to them, it's not that the narrator of the video is also the star of the video, right? Oftentimes when you use other third party validation, other people's stories, other people's successes, and again, this applies in any niche, it can almost be more powerful because you're not sitting there talking about yourself, right? Which can
Yep.
leave some people to be skeptical, right? Which is why you see people using additional screenshots, etc., whatever they can to prove that what they're saying is true. But you eliminate that need, especially if you're new and in a new niche, by going and finding other people's results, stories, and using that as third party validation and getting really good at telling other people's stories. To this day, that's still one of my most valuable skill sets that I've developed, is telling other people's story, edifying other people, talking about other people. And I would honestly say in the last couple of years, I've done very little talking about myself, how great I am, how much I know, and lifting other people up, showcasing our students and our clients, because they're ultimately, if I'm promoting something, what most people are wondering is, are other people getting results with this? Right? Or is it just you, Dave? Right? So when I say, well, there's 700 interviews that I've done, it's pretty much case closed. It's like, here's all these examples. So using that third party validation and also using that positive feedback that you get, no matter how insignificant you think it is, can be a valuable part of your marketing plan and getting people to sort of see that other people are, a lot of times people want to make sure, just like jumping in, hey, jump in, let me know if the water's warm, type of, what I mean, type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
We're at the top of the hour, and so I want to be respectful of your time, your busy life, and now that you've added something new into your life that's taking up more time and will be one of those delayed gratification things for you, as you become more and more successful. What advice would you give yourself, knowing what you know now, back in the beginning?
Yeah, so I know almost everybody says it, but I don't think people understand how incredibly important it is to just work on your mindset and be consistent. Being consistent is so, so important. I could not even, teach somebody or write down things that would really help somebody to get, even to the level that I'm at, or to have success at all with it. It's really just that I have been consistent with it. That is, you eventually, if you're consistent with it, things are going to happen for you. That's just how it works. So that, and then also did want to say, only after a couple months of being into it, I found kind of like a business buddy or somebody who does the same thing as in with Legendary Marketer. And that has been amazing for me because, we chat about things, we brainstorm together, we're there for each other if we need support. And I think it'd be nice if everybody could have somebody like that as well. So just work on being consistent. Your mindset, you may not have the mindset that you need coming into it 100%, but that's okay because those kind of things take time. So just continue to work on that.
Awesome, awesome thoughts, awesome advice, and having a mini mastermind, taking the concepts that we're just talking about and doing right here in our company. Masterminding is really important. It's not always about like somebody having the answer for you, which is kind of what we hope for. We get into this savior guru mentality, like there's somebody who has the answer, the exact answer, right? And sort of we wait for that, we look for that kind of like that magic moment, when the magic is really, like you just pointed out, working through things, trying things, then getting with somebody else, sharing ideas, sort of like we do every single morning on the show. This is a mini
Hmm.
every single morning, because we're talking about what's working. And you and I may talk a couple of months down the road here on the show, and you're talking about new strategies. You're talking about new things that are working for you. So I love that, plus the accountability factor, plus the loneliness factor sometimes of being a online entrepreneur. Working from home is a gift. It can also be not a curse, but lonely, right? Because
Yeah, sometimes you just need somebody to connect with about the same stuff. Yeah.
absolutely. The more people, the more ways that you can make yourself feel like you've got support around you, whether it's listening to this show, reaching out to people, being the one who offers, say, hey, be the one who reaches out to people. Don't wait for somebody said yesterday on the show, our guest said, nobody's coming to save you. That's part of the like getting support, getting a marketing buddy, reach out, ask, put yourself out there, do things that you haven't done in the past to make this venture successful, opposed to doing the same thing that maybe you've done in the past and expecting a different result. You pointed out some of those things. For example, even if you were having success, quitting after 6 months or so. So that awareness you've shared with us this morning, we know that those are some of the landmines or hurdles that you're looking out for, that you're now aware of. And of course, the buddy system, the accountability, the masterminding, everything else that you have going on, not to mention your audience that you've built, who you're now accountable to. And I keep trying to tell people, Laura, that's going to be your biggest accountability partner, is actually your audience who you're creating for, right? Who's looking
Yep.
at that new piece of content, who's looking, and isn't that the strongest accountability partner that you'll ever have?
It's absolutely true because let me tell you, as soon as I had an account that blew up as big as it did, I was like, oh crap, like now I really got to keep doing this, you know?
Right.
So, but it's a good thing. It's good.
It is. Well, you are not good. You are legendary. Stay legendary, my friend. You're better than good. And you're doing just fantastic. So keep up the great work. Come back and see me in the near future. Come back and let's do a follow up episode. And thanks for joining me today. Okay, Alora, stay.
Absolutely. Thank you,
And
Dave. Have a good one.
you're so welcome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Hmm.
All right, my friends. Uh, that is it. It is Friday. So make today legendary. Make it productive. Put yourself in a position to where you're going into the weekend feeling good about yourself. Maybe even develop a plan for the most important thing that you want to accomplish today, on Saturday, and then on Sunday as well. I know many of you are fathers. You're going to be celebrating. I'm one as well. I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers early. And I know that, it's one of the greatest gifts that I can give my children is to be there with them, you know, just be there with them, they don't care about our jobs. This is one last, if you're not a father, you can leave. But I want to say for the fathers, the dads, just quick after game locker room speech, man, the greatest gift that you can give your kids, man, as a dad is to be there with them. They don't care about your job. They don't care about your title. Your kids don't even give a shit how much money you make. They don't understand any of those things yet. This all they want is you to be there, man. It's all they want. They don't even care if you're in a cracker box or you're in a mansion. They don't. They don't. They just want you to be there. And you know what? The second best thing that you can do besides giving your kids quality time is to show them what it looks like to go after something, to work hard for something, to push through something, to persevere through something, to fight for something. Doesn't do your kids any good just to wake up one day and just you to be rich. It benefits your kids to watch you go through the process. So stop being obsessed with the result. Stop being obsessed with the bank account. Stop being obsessed with where you're going to be one day and the fact that you can't be happy until you get there, and fall in love with the process. And know that as a dad, the greatest gift that you can give your kids is to be there and show them that you can overcome things. Obviously, this stuff applies to moms too. But dads, have a great weekend. I'm proud of you, right? Because it takes a lot to be a dad. And it takes a lot to be a dad and do this on top of being a dad, right? Same thing for the moms, but I'm talking to the dads right now. So be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself. If you want your kids to be proud of you, you be proud of you. You do things that make you proud of you, and they will naturally be proud. That was not a hat throw. That was a phone drop. All right, my friends, get out of here. Have a fantastic weekend. Be legendary. And we'll be back here on Monday, as always, for another episode. Get out of here. Peace.